Welcome to the December CDM, everybody. Let's get started. Uh, we've got a few topics on the agenda today. So, the first one is to discuss PR 48124, and that was put on the agenda by Pon. Do you want to take that over? I think I see you on the call.
Hi. Thanks, Laura. This is Pan. So this is a PR I did, I think, last December. I did discuss this with Radoslaw previously, and he wanted to draw the attention of the wider Ceph team. So the change itself is it's simple and nothing complicated, but it does involve changing a user-facing command, like it changes the output of Ceph pg dump command. So
So, do we want
I,
to
I
get
would.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I'm late to. I saw there was a long trail of discussion on this PR, but I ran a check, and there are many places that would need to be changed in the QA tests after this change, and this is just for our internal in our internal code base. This is a very basic command. I don't think it's a good idea to change its behavior in such a drastic way. I would rather have a new command to replace it with a default short output.
okay, so you're suggesting an alternative, a new command. Okay, so the issue was like this command itself. I mean, there was no need for additional output or anything. Just that this command takes a long time and produces a lot of output. So if you look at the tracker, I have given an actual example. It produced about over 2 gig of data from a user environment.
Okay, I noticed that. I'm not sure what is the correct way to fix it, but changing something that is used in scripts, because this is the JSON format. But yeah, this is only for the format JSON way to operate this command. But because this is the JSON, it is used in scripts.
Yes, it's even worse because it's actually not even part of not only the part of the CLI operators interface, it's also part of our interface exposed towards machines. So if somebody developed any automation, any data collecting facilities, monitoring, etc., all of them will be affected. So I fully agree that this is also the change on the technical level. It's very straightforward. It's very simple. It has a huge impact. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether we should touch this comment at all. Maybe introduce a new one. I don't know yet. I would love to discuss the possibilities, because let me add that I fully agree that we have a pretty severe problem from the beginning of the lifetime of the command's lifetime. We are dumping there some information that had which size depends exponentially on the number of OSDs. So it's a bottleneck. It's a scaling problem. So the bug is severe, I would say.
What are our other options to solve this? What do we need to do to enlarge the buffers, be able to handle this command at scale?
Well, like with any algorithm with exponential growth rate, those optimizations won't give so much. We basically would need to skip printing this info. The question is how to do that in a way that doesn't blow up the ecosystem.
We might reduce some minor part if you can identify a specific part that's causing most of the extra details.
Yeah, it can be tracked. Let me pinpoint a specific comment in the tracker. This is already done, and thanks for the reporter for doing that. Thanks, Ramona. Okay, it's a comment number 5. Here is the direct link.
One second.
While Ronan's taking a look at that, I was curious. So, if we were to introduce a new command like PG summary, would we want to, for future releases, keep both PG summary and PG dump, PG's brief, or would we want to phase the second one out? What would be the protocol there?
I would start Laura, with I think the work that was done here in number 5 is important. I think it might be a way around creating a new command. What is suggested here is either not outputting the network ping times, and this might solve the problem, or having it. Or let me rephrase it. The suggestion is just to require an additional argument to output the network ping times in the JSON format, and it makes sense, I think, and it might solve our problem without going back to a very terse output.
Well, even if we introduce a new command, the old one would still need to be for a while. There must be, I think, some transition period. So removal right now, I'm afraid it's not an option. It has a potential to break a lot of parts of the ecosystem.
But Radek, I'm not sure I understand. Do you think it's possible without breaking a lot just to require one more parameter to allow the network times to be included? This is a smaller change than what was proposed.
Okay, we could, I understood correctly. The idea is to just kill the problematic part of the JSON output and count that people don't use it so frequently.
Yeah.
That's That's fair point, but it's actually a trade-off, I think, because that way you are losing some explicitness. If there is a user, if somebody makes use of the output, it will be fine there to nail down the problem. If you just started silently skipping those parts, then in case when you deprecated the entire command. But well, to be honest, when it comes to pgdump, I'm not sure even that the deprecation is possible. It's so frequently used one that yeah, it's a severe problem.
So it looks like the network ping times is what's causing the performance issue in this big JSON output. But
I think there are multiple things. There
yeah,
are some of them grows faster. Some of them grow slower with the size of OSD set. But I wouldn't assume it's just the one. Likely we would need to nail other things, but
What is growing linearly is probably less of a problem. We should be able to scale up.
quadratic, exponential, those are the things we should be worried about, I think. But I'm refreshing also my memory from the comment number 5, just 1 year ago. So what we have here, and it appears teacher for traditional. Okay.
Radek, one comment. I just grabbed in our code. I don't see a use in our test for the network ping times as a JSON word, search word.
I see.
Yeah, and given that this command doesn't complete on large clusters and actually causes the manager to essentially crash and fail over, it's probably a safe bet that it's not being used at least at scale by actual users either. And like I wouldn't be like so attached to that output as to just not touch it and introduce a new command. Like if it's the network thing section or the network whatever it's called, if it's that section that grows quadratically and causes the causes the bulk of the issue, then I would say just get rid of it. We're not using it in our own tests. It's very unlikely that someone is actually looking at it.
I very like the point about unusability of the comment on large clusters. This means, I think, that actually for those terribly huge deployments, this will be basically a new thing, not modification of already existing comment, basically a new thing. So maybe we could, I'm thinking loudly, maybe we could differentiate basing on the size of OSD set. If a cluster is large to such a degree that previously it wouldn't have been usable, then maybe for such large deployments, we should add some kind of warning and simply not print those problematic members of JSON.
I think it would be more confusing to like if that field or if that subdictionary was included conditionally, like if it was included only if it's below a particular threshold, like that would be far more confusing than just not including it in the first place.
Surprising. I agree on that.
So whatever we do, it should like it should not be conditional on the output itself, right? Because you're taking the output and essentially post-processing it in a way that's completely implicit.
I agree, it's disgusting.
And it will make developing scripts so much harder because things will run fine on your test cluster, and then stop working while with no explanation when you run it on the large cluster. We must not do that, I think.
Yes, but the advantage, the solid very one advantage I see of this solution is that we are not risking the small / medium clusters that are already making use of those JSON members.
I'm not sure whether the problem is. Or can we add that piece to like how we have PG dump, PG's brief? Can we have something like PG dump network ping times? Just separate that piece out from the.
I think we already have. I think we already have
do.
a comment for dumping this part, dumping separately from other things of PG dump. The question is how to actually convey the modification of basically interface to the existing clusters.
A release note?
That's for sure. The question is it enough? Because well, that's a change in a pretty fundamental comment.
But it's a small.
But it's structured output. It doesn't mean that it's there to like. It doesn't mean that it's set in stone and that it cannot be changed under under no conditions. It's yes, it's it's intended to be machine readable, and yes, we intend to, or we try to do our best to not break it, not change it. But in this case, like we have, I think this example was, it's clearly not theoretical. This was a real cluster where the manager kept failing over, like, and if the output could be, like, I'm not sure if it's calculated right, but if the output could could take up to 2 gigabytes, then like we should definitely do something about that. There is no other way to do it other than to change something. And given that the network, given that the problematic field or like the problematic dictionary seems to be unused in our own tests and most likely also unused out there in the wild simply because it's not practical, I would, like, my vote would be to just keep the command as is and just drop that from the output. Another option which has been which was mentioned is, you add a new command and you don't touch the existing command, but in this case, like, it seems like that would cause potentially more disruption because, again, this field is just, I'm not sure like how many people are even aware of that field actually being there and like the precise semantics and how it could be used.
Yeah, we don't. I agree. We Richard don't want to have something like PG dump the second.
I think we have a pretty agreed upon summary. What Ilya says, I think, is agreed.
I think so. The question I would like to get an answer for is whether we need some kind of staging / deprecation period in this case.
Don't think so. It's not important enough. It's too small a change for that, and we have an active problem now with the existing command.
I agree. It's a small change, but in very important comment. Yeah, what's your think on let's say 1 year period before removing one risk deprecation period?
I don't think it's worth it. It sounds like the breakage is, well, so the report mentions an octopus cluster. So this problem is not new, which means that we probably wouldn't want to backport this change. But as for releasing it in a major release, in the upcoming Squid release with a release note, without any sort of deprecation period, I think I think that would be perfectly fine, because it's a major release. People are supposed to read release notes, and again, in the very unlikely event that someone cares about that sub dictionary, and it seemed like you indicated that there already is a way to dump just that dictionary, or something close to that. Then in the release note, we simply include that as an instruction for anyone who's using it, and get it out in a major release without without further ado.
Yeah, I agree. Since it's a bug fix, it's not worth delaying because of the concern that somebody is scraping this stuff. Release note should be sufficient.
Cool. Sounds.
Yeah, I think we could actually. I mean, depending on, I would even consider this for backporting, but I think that would be a separate discussion. So the kind of the details together would be, do we is there really a kind of an easy change where instead of where you just expand your command line slightly, and it would dump this dictionary, or whether it's something more involved. Because if it's just there, you used to have this command, please change it to this command, and this fixes an issue where the manager has to fail over and the command doesn't complete anyway, then that would be even backportable in my book. Again, without any deprecation periods or nothing like that.
So I'm adding a summary note to the agenda. So I have, we consider this a performance bug, so we want to fix it. We'll add a release note.
Scalability. It's
Yes.
a scalability problem.
Yeah, and no deprecation period if introduced to new release, or since it will be introduced to new release. And then somebody remind me what the proposed solution is. I'm missing a bullet point on that.
I think please correct me if I'm wrong. I think the agreement is that we are in the upcoming Squid.
Mm-hmm.
We are adding a release note explicitly saying that because of scalability / performance problems, we are removing the problematic data substructure from output of pgdump format JSON.
What about Reef, which is just released?
Do we want to backport Sabotage?
I think like I said, that should be a separate discussion, and at least if I was making that decision, then I would want to see the fix and the release note that would come together with that fix, and depending on just how easy it is of a change. To like if the user still wanted to get that network times dictionary, just depending on how easy would it be to get it post this change, that would be a factor in the in the backporting decision. And then if we decide to backport it, then it should be limited to Reef. It should also be backported to Quincy.
Agree. But I think just to again said what you're saying, but with emphasis, if it's not too hard to get the data, I would get it into Reef.
Right, that's exactly what I said, but I think to make that determination, we need to see the fix and the release node.
I will just want to recall the Ilias point that actually this is about the backporting. Will be about not fixing already deployed clusters, but actually extending the potential for new clusters, for new deployments that are at the moment. If somebody would want to use this command, they are basically unusable for such clusters. So it's not in short. It's not about fixing, not about fixing existing clusters. It's about extending Ceph coverage.
Okay, so we've got our conclusion of what the solution will be. Is there any other comments about this topic? Okay, if not, I think that makes a lot of sense. So we can always go back to it if people have forgotten or if people want to revisit it. But I think we're ready to go to the next topic on the agenda. So this next one is to discuss PR 53483. I don't know if whoever's on the call or whoever put this topic on is on the call. If so, can you take the lead? I don't see the name. Let's see, the pull request is Blue Store one.
Maybe I will chime in at that point.
Yeah, go for it.
Originally, this PR was to improve disk usage for BlueFS. It was to get rid of an improvement on cooperation between Blue Store block allocator that serves to allocate object data, and BlueFS that's responsible for supplying space for RocksDB. The idea was to phase out a long-standing idea that if we allocate for BlueFS a large chunk like 1 megabyte or 64 kilobytes, that was a setting that we changed with versions, but that those allocations had to be aligned to be acceptable for BlueFS. That was, we decided to have it historically, but we then thought out that it's not really useful to keep it going, because there is not really a difference for a device. If it reads a multiply of an underlying disk block size, then it basically doesn't matter if it's aligned to some further granularity. That has been a interesting hint for allocator itself, but since we already have an instance of allocator that is able to handle the lower granularity, there is no need to require some entity to get larger aligned chunk. So that's the original intention for the PR. But as it turned out, that piece of code is actually solving us a very nasty bug that comes from that can happen on pre-Pacific deployments. When we created 64 kilobyte allocation unit on a block device, and then due to some further changes, we allowed BlueFS to operate on 4 kilobytes. Basically, just to make it short, we created a possibility to make a data corruption on clusters that were deployed pre-Pacific. That PR solves it, and it will be more or less merged to all versions, meaning Reef, Quincy. I guess that the PRs are already there. That's what I can say about it. Maybe there is something more that Itegu had in mind, but that's what I know about it.
Thanks for that summary, Adam. It's really helpful. And yeah, this bug came up recently in light of the 18.2.1 upcoming release. And we're actually testing this fix in order to include it in that release. So it might have been originally put on the agenda due to lack of attention, but it's gotten a lot of attention in the past few days. So it will be tested and included in the upcoming Reef release. Did anyone have any questions about it? Okay, it looks like thanks again for the summary, Adam. I think we've gotten a lot of good feedback there. So I think we'll go to I'll leave Nitson's topic for last since I don't see him on the call. And we'll go to this next topic from Ilya and Ramana to discuss PR 51169.
Yeah, so this is something that we have, that was discussed, I think, a few months ago at this point. But I don't think we reached kind of a clear conclusion there, and Ramana wasn't present, and the recording seems to be, like it's nowhere to be found. So I wanted to bring this up again because like Ramana worked on the fix for like the issue that is being addressed in the PR under the kind of RBD umbrella, but this is really a Redis topic. So just to, I don't know if going into the details of kind of what exactly is being fixed is kind of necessary here. But the kind of the side effect, the side, because it has to do with block listing, the Redis instances that are used by manager modules, and the desire to to recover from that automatically. But basically the side effect of the change is that manager startup takes more time, and that exposed a bug in the or kind of an existing behavior, which is also triggered by some of our tests in various suites. I think at the very least the file system suite, the RGW suite. I think Ceph ADM was also doing something close there. And so what is happening is the test enables the manager module, which is not one of the always-on modules, so it's previously disabled. The test runs the manager module enable command, and then immediately after that attempts to run a manager command that is provided by that module that has just been enabled. The issue with that is that the manager module enable command is completely asynchronous. All it does is it marks the module as enabled in the manager map, and then everything else kind of happens in the background. And that everything else includes a respawn of the manager daemon. So the daemon kind of kills itself, and then a new process is started, because that's how we deal with enabling modules and disabling modules. That's just how manager works. And this is where this block listing fix kicks in. It takes a bit more time for the manager to start up, and for all of the modules to be truly available in the sense that they can serve the commands that they provide. What happens is that the command that is issued immediately after the module is enabled, that command just fails. And so this is basically what this fix is blocked on. There are, I think we've discussed, I think at least 3 different approaches to either actually addressing this or working around this. So one approach is, of course, to just disregard this and fix the tests to introduce some retries there. But the problem is that we don't have a reliable way or really any way to tell whether the module is actually available, whether it's actually ready to serve its commands. There is nothing in the manager map that could be used for that, and so the only if you wanted to work around this, the only way to do that is to just retry the actual command. But if that command is not idempotent, if it actually if it's not just some kind of query, but it actually changes some state, then that's a problem. And so the workaround becomes not just a simple matter of retrying. You actually need to among the commands that are exposed by the module, you need to pick a command that is known to be safe to retry, that is ideally some kind of querying or listing command. And then you do that. And once that succeeds, you know that the module is loaded, and you can actually, you could proceed with the actual command that you wanted to run there. That's really cumbersome. So that was rejected. My proposal was to actually have something in the manager map that would indicate whether the manager is actually ready, because we have a flag that is called available there in the manager map, which used to do just this, but back in 2019, so quite a long time ago, its semantics were quietly changed, and it doesn't mean that anymore. It gets set to true way before the manager modules are actually ready to serve commands. And I propose to kind of resurrect the previous semantics there. And I think there was some opposition to that in the previous CDM. Patrick proposed an alternative approach where the command itself, where this retry would basically be internal to the CLI command that is to the CLI tool and the manager. So the manager would return some sort of not ready status, and the CLI command, in this case, the Ceph Python command would kind of retry based on that status internally. Kind of alternative to that might be easier to implement is to have these retries happen entirely internally in the manager. So the manager would kind of sit on the command waiting for the module to actually become available. And so the retries would happen internally. But I think there are some concerns with regards to the potential timeout, and doing this in the manager might cause a command queue buildup. And given how sensitive the manager is in general, I think that was the primary reason why Patrick wanted it to be done kind of client side and be driven by the CLI command in this case. The problem with that is you have to be using the CLI command. So if you use some other way to issue manager/monitor commands, then you wouldn't you wouldn't be covered by that functionality. So anyway, these are kind of the potential options. All of them are listed in the PR. I'm not sure. We don't have. I don't think we have a good summary, but all of the kind of most recent comments going back to June, I think. Have nothing to do with RBD or the specifics of the fix, and actually discuss just this, just the approach to handling this problem. So the question that I have, I guess, for the wider team and primarily for Rados folks is, do we think that this issue with the manager module enable command being asynchronous, do we think it's serious enough? And if so, then I would like us to discuss this potential, the three potential approaches to fixing this, or perhaps folks have something entirely new in mind. Basically, just I would like to just open this for discussion here.
Just a question on the way how the commands are driven, how they are issued. It has been said that there is a worry that somebody could call a command without the CLI as an intermediary. So this would boil down into basically into putting on a wire a specific radius message. Is this public API? Is there a real user of that functionality even?
There is.
Okay.
Ceph CSI does it through GoCeph.
I see.
It's not just Ceph CSI. We do provide the mon command API, radius _ mon _ command or something of that sort, and it's used by a bunch of things, not for enabling. Like, I'm not sure if it's used for enabling manager modules, although you could imagine some sort of API server, because we keep talking about having kind of a centralized API server that would be separate from the dashboard, where users could interact with like that API. So I could see that potentially enabling some modules on the on the back end.
Okay.
But regardless, we do provide and have always, like for many years, provided Liberatus API to run an arbitrary monitor command, and since and that also covers manager commands, right? Because that's pretty much the same thing these days.
I see. So I think that the worry is fully justified. Yeah, if we make it CLI specific, what about other front ends?
A question, just for understanding. Is one of I read through the PR, but I'm trying to understand. Is one of the proposed solutions the idea that the enable command would only return after really being enabled?
Yeah, that was the initial solution that I proposed without knowing, without even opening any of the manager sources, because that seemed to me like that's the behavior that our tests expect. Like, that's how Ceph developers actually coded their tests. So clearly, it's like Ceph developers expect that, and if Ceph developers expect that, then Ceph users most likely expect that too, right? Because that just makes sense. So that was kind of the initial thing that the initial approach that I proposed, and that was based on the assumption that there was a flag in the manager map, which is I had this recollection that there was some sort of flag, which upon after the manager is done starting up, and all of the modules that are enabled are either up and running in the sense that they're ready to serve their commands, or they have failed, and it's clear in the there is a health error saying that these modules are failed to start those, and the list of modules that have failed to start. Once that state is reached, once we are once the manager is in a steady state, only then this flag is set to true, a new manager map is published, and then we could simply block on that block on the on seeing the manager map where the available flag is first set to false. Right, then you enable the module that you want to enable, and then you wait for a manager map with the available flag set to true. That would guarantee that anything, like any commands issued after that, would either work if they're issued against a module that is up and running, or fail expectedly if they're issued against a module that is down. Unfortunately, like I said, the semantics of the available flag were broken about 4 years ago. And my proposal to resurrect that, I think Patrick had some reservations about that, and unfortunately, I don't see him in the call. But yeah, that was the initial that was the approach that made the most sense to me.
Okay, just to that was I was trying to understand. I understand that you suggested to resurrect this bit or probably use some other bit, not to create even more change now. But you're not proposing that we add an API that the user would have to query this bit before sending the next command. Just it would be used to block the return from an original enable command.
Yes, it could be used for that, but if for some reason we didn't want to block the enable command, then I would argue that having a kind of wait until steady or whatever, like having a command that would wait for that flag, or like it doesn't even need to be a command. If this flag was if we had such a flag, then the user could instead of, like I said, finding an idempotent command among the set of commands provided by the particular manager module, the user could just in their script we could, like in the tests that we have that need adjustment due to this change, we could query that manager map flag instead of running manager commands, right? So having that flag, even if the manager module enable command didn't block, having that flag would still be better than what we have today.
Okay, I think we can continue since Ilya's on the call. Ilya, I'm not sure where you were when this happened, but please continue to the best of your ability.
Well, I think I was responding to Casey's question, what happens. So what happens is you get an error message which says that it's actually, I think it's it's pretty helpful because it actually is it should be somewhere in the comments there in the PR, but so what happens is, as part of the manager startup, all of the manager module classes get loaded, and the commands are discovered then. So the act of kind of discovering commands build and the act of kind of building a registry of commands that are known is separate from actually kind of loading the modules, actually starting an interpreter. Okay. that would be actually starting a thread that would be running the module. So the set of the commands is known, and when the manager receives such a command, it is able to it knows that the command is there, but the module is not there. So that's why I thought that a second, another way to fix this would be to just sit on the command and wait for the module to finish loading.
Okay. So the reason that I asked about the error that the client sees is just to dig into the requirement for idempotency that you mentioned before. Are there cases where a client would see that error even though the manager did apply the command?
I don't think so, because this is returned, like the command is essentially failed, and it's failed because the module is not running yet. So it's not recorded anywhere, and I don't think it's possible for that command to somehow then be restarted and and handled without users' knowledge when the module becomes available for real. But I think Ramana has spent a lot more time looking at that code than I did. So, please keep me honest if I'm talking nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get the Casey's question or the final discussion. So with regards to using an idempotent command. So yeah, I'm unable to give good feedback there, but yeah, I think your inputs there, I think should be good.
I think I was just thinking about the case where the client side is retrying the commands that failed on the server this way, but that might only help with the CLI and not cover other cases.
Yeah, I think that assumption to me sounds correct.
Yeah, so I think I want to go back to like the kind of the very first question, which is, do we actually care about this? Do we think people people are enabling modules often enough? Because the bug, just to be clear, the bug where like it's already out there, because the manager module enable command is already asynchronous, and I believe it's possible to hit this error on a subsequent command that tries to use the module even today. It's just that, at least according to our tests, that is unlikely, because we don't seem to be getting failures from that today. However, if just for some reason the manager takes a while to start, then this this is already out there. This block listing fix just makes it worse. So the question is, like, do we do we think it's a problem, and like how badly would we want to fix it if we do? Because it does seem like a problem to me, but then I've heard other opinions. So just wondering. I think we need to answer that question first before we go into the implementation details of which are the possible approaches to fix it.
I would agree with you that it doesn't seem user-friendly. And if there was an easy way to make the module enable command black, then that sounds reasonable to me, or at least to make that an option for scripts, especially that rely on that.
I don't think there is an easy way to make it blocking, just because of how the monitor/manager command interface works. So that very first proposal was to actually implement, make it blocking also just in CLI, which would miss those other users. So it's probably not a good idea, but then even that was kind of like even there we ran into the roadblock of the available flag in the manager map not actually not actually indicating that anything is available. So
yeah.
So Ilya, is your suggestion to like revisit Mikola's fix to load the Python modules asynchronously when managers respond after enabling a manager module or disabling a manager module?
Well, I would definitely take a kind of a second look. So if I was, if I had to fix this, like if this was a priority, then I would definitely take a second look at that PR. Just because it does seem to me like this was just a workaround for some locking issues, which there might be a way to handle that better. But even as is, I think we could still load Python modules asynchronously, just as it's done today, but then delay the flipping of the available flag from where it's flipped post that fix, post that workaround, to after we know that everything is loaded. Like the fact that it's asynchronous doesn't mean that we can track it. Like it's asynchronous with respect to the to the threading model in the manager. It's not asynchronous to the user, or rather, we like those are two orthogonal things. It could still be asynchronous within the manager, as in like we don't block or we don't we do it we do that loading from a finisher queue as opposed to doing it like directly, but we could still track the completion of that asynchronous work, and only when it's only when it's complete for all the modules in question, only then set the available flag to true. So this would be much this would mimic what available flag did before that change that went in 2019 that you linked in the chat.
Okay, so would the manager module enable command then continue to work as is, and any command post that would have to first check if the flag is available, if that specific module is available, and only then, okay.
Yes, and that, by the way, that's the case today. So if you look like this, it's slightly misguided because the available flag doesn't mean much, but we actually wait for that in the vstart.sh script. And I think given that it made it into the restart script, it's probably I'm just conjecturing, but there was probably a similar weight in in Ceph Ansible and maybe in Rook, right? So people have apparently discovered that some time ago that this flag exists, and found a need to wait for it. So this is done. So vstart only does it when the cluster is being started, but then we could simply document that the manager module enable and disable, but we only care about enable here, that those commands are asynchronous, and if you want to if you want the manager to if you want to do something with the manager right after you issue that command, then you need to wait for it to become to report available status again. That would be not an ideal fix, but it would be entirely reasonable. It would be clear, it would be documentable, and it would be very easy to explain to anyone who is potentially confused about this. Today we just don't have any way to any programmatic way to wait for a module or all modules, because that's just an extension of that, to be truly available.
So I still kind of feel like the waiting shouldn't be in each command, but on the enable command specifically, like the command itself can be asynchronous, but the client side could wait for a manager map that says that it's done. And I think another advantage of that is that it could report errors if the module failed to initialize.
Yeah, but that would be specific to the to the CLI implementation, right? So that would not capture the API.
Okay.
But since the building block, well, at least the way I imagine this would be implemented, the building block for that would be some kind of available flag, really available flag in the manager map, and then an API user could then re-implement this waiting loop internally by getting the manager map and checking whether the flag is set. That would be entirely sensible, or that would seem entirely sensible to me. So if that's the approach that if everyone else agrees, then I think that's what we can kind of commit to, and then discuss whether we fix the existing available flag, whether we resurrect the pre-2019 semantics there, or whether we add a new flag. But that's that is then kind of the implementation detail. I want us to commit to an approach first. Radek, do you like it? Does that seem sensible to you? Implementing the retry loop based on some sort of state communicated by the manager map in the CLI tool, and then leaving the API consumers to re-implement that loop again based on the same manager map state directly in their code.
Personally, yes, I think so. Still, I'm curious. What was the problem? What was the issues pointed out by Patrick? I will definitely want to keep him in the loop. To me, it makes sense. Still, I'm assuming that there might be a thing that I'm not aware about. That's the reason why I would like to gather feedback from Patrick as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, Patrick is not here, and I don't think we have that. I don't think we have that recorded. Because we just talked about his suggestion to drive the retries based on based on a return code from the manager, as opposed to based on the manager map. And I have to say I don't remember the specifics there either. So I guess if you want Patrick Zach here, would it work for you if we kind of summarize what we seem to be otherwise agreeing to here in the PR, and then ask Patrick to either hack that or say why why he thinks that's a bad idea in the PR?
Yes, this would work perfectly.
Okay, and just to foreshadow some of the implementation detail discussion, would you want a separate flag in the manager map for the really available, or can we like would you rather we fix the existing flag that was broken for your
the existing one? Initially when I heard about the idea about, I thought, oh man, encoding change, so extending MGR map, etc. And I was a bit skeptical. What made the change is that we already had this behavior in the past. We broken it somehow, maybe for a good reason, maybe not. I don't know. That's the point where Patrick's input will be really, really useful. But if you already have the data member, that makes it far simpler.
Okay, so I think we have a path forward. Ramana, I think, and there would be an action item on you to summarize this, post a comment in the PR, and ask Patrick for input. And with that, I think we can end this topic.
Yeah, I can do that. I can summarize that. And also, I've in the chat, I've linked the commit that actually changed the semantics of the available flag. So, in case any of you is interested in looking at that change.
By the way, who is right now? Who is the actual user of this flag?
Well, the vstart, like I said, the vstart script just waits for it to be set to true before it kind of proceeds with further interacting with the manager. In particular, before it proceeds to, if I remember correctly, it's like before it proceeds with Ceph ADM. So if you pass the -- Ceph ADM flag, and you want the Ceph ADM orchestrator way of kind of deploying, then I think that's what the start script does. Just based on that, I think that Rook might also be waiting for it when it starts up the manager. Not sure, but the commit that is linked by Ramana in the chat, it's pretty clear that it was just working around an issue that is just an implementation kind of bug that between the interpreters and sub-interpreters and the manager level locking, and the change the change in the semantics of the available flag was not intended at all. And that's why I was suggesting that we could just resurrect it, because it was clearly broken. The breakage was clearly not intentional. And if no one wants to dig into these kind of locking shenanigans, then we could keep this asynchrony. We could keep loading modules through the finisher queue, but simply track the completion of all those loads and set the available flag to true only after all those loads are complete.
I see. Well, vstart.sh isn't a thing I'm particularly afraid about breaking compatibility with. If Rook makes use of it, okay. Personally, I think it would be nice to keep Travis also in the loop, at least make him aware.
Yeah, we can do that. So I'm not sure, like, if it's actually used by Rook, and if it is, again, this doesn't the fix. I don't think any changes would be needed on the Rook side, because if we were to do this, this would mean that the flag gets set just later when the manager is really available, and like that should like that should not break anything on the Rook side. But yeah, if I guess another action item is to do a grep there, or maybe just ask Travis directly, because grepping for something like available might get a ton of false positive to sift through. Yeah, so we can just involve Travis there. But first, I think we need to kind of agree on, get internal agreement, and that includes Patrick, on how we want to proceed, and then see if there are any external users that might need to be notified about the change.
Oh, sounds we have an agreement.
All right, sounds good to me. I'm glad to finally make some progress here, because this was stuck since June or maybe July, on something that has nothing to do with RBD. So it's good to move this forward. And I think that's the last topic. There was another RBD related topic, but I think it got pulled or moved to January due to a bunch of folks being on PTO. There was NV Neurofabrics high availability for NV ORF Gateway, but that was I think we've moved it to either January or February.
Yeah, and Radek, about Nitsin's topics, maybe we can touch base with him on those just whenever he's back around, because I think these trackers, he was probably just looking for input.
This is actually one of those trackers, is actually potentially related to, or not related, but it kind of touches on the same set of changes that went that went into the manager in 2019. So the 38621 tracker, the first one in that item, it actually it is related to to the set of workarounds that were committed back then. This one, it's not related to it's not strictly related to loading manager modules asynchronously through the finisher queue, but it's it's in the same area of multiple sub-interpreters not coexisting well, and the various hangs occurring here and there, which were very hard to debug. And at the end of the day, after a few tries, Sage made a decision to just completely punt on attempting to shut down manager modules, and just kill the manager process instead, with no attempt to gracefully shut down any of the modules. So this is, again, not directly related, but it's in the same, it's the same set of workarounds that people keep going back to and keep discovering something about. So I was curious to hear what Nissan had to say, and like how this tracker ticket, like why has it been surfaced? But I guess we'll have to wait for either for the next CDM or maybe some other forum there.
What has struck me is that Nixon was trying to nail down a problem with basically a memory leak, a Valgrind issue. While in 2019 we skipped calling, we skipped Valgrind runs solely because of not calling the shutdown methods. Actually, the price we are paying for the workaround is inability to have a Valgrind, a meaningful Valgrind run over Ceph MGR. At least that was the state just after merging the PR. I'm not sure whether it has. I doubt, to be honest, it has changed since then, which brings a question: why somebody tries to run Ceph MGR under Valgrind while it's known it's a no-go?
Well, I would actually question that, because the process just gets killed. Like the manager modules are not, like the fact that they're not shut down properly is supposed to be mitigated by the fact that it only happens, or it's only supposed to happen before the entire process goes away anyway. And like at that point, like none of it matters, right? Because the operating system would do all of the necessary cleanup.
Yes.
So I do see how that could pollute the Valgrind runs. But if we wanted Valgrind coverage for the manager, I think we could reinstate that, and because at the very least for tests that don't cause the manager to fail over. So for tests that don't enable modules that are not always on, for tests that don't run the Ceph manager fail command. So like if we wanted a dedicated test for a manager where it's run under Valgrind, I think we could do that. It might take some suppressions, or we might have to do some post-processing on the leaks that are reported if Valgrind still reports them up to the process as scaled. But it's doable. So I don't think the two these two things kind of preclude each other. It should not be a deal breaker.
I fully agree. It's only about Valgrind. It's not about. It's not that we are leaking resources. That it's not that operating system doesn't clean after the MGR. I think it's the pain comes from making all those Valgrind rules to ignore the noise.
Well, because I mean, we are like with the Valgrind coverage, or with the lack of Valgrind coverage, we are also lacking, any sort of ability to detect a real memory leak. Like if the manager is, let's say you have a test where the manager is not being failed over, is not being respawned for any other reason, and somehow like the interpreter machinery or one of the like memory pools like behind the like any of the structures that are provided by the manager framework to the modules, such as the like OSD maps and like PG maps and anything else of that sort. If there is a memory leak there, then we are unlikely to catch it. So
Agreed.
I mean, Valgrind is not a silver bullet. It doesn't catch all memory leaks, right? You could just grow. It could be just just unbounded memory growth, which is technically not a leak, and that would not be caught by Valgrind. But still, just to get back to my point, if we wanted Valgrind coverage, we absolutely could add a test for that. I don't think it would be that hard.
Yeah, definitely the workaround for the not calling shutdown. It has a price and pretty significant one. Yes. So if Nitsan want to bring, maybe I misunderstood the its intention. If he wants to bring Valorant coverage back to MDR, yeah, that would be super cool.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, we're missing Patrick, we're missing Nitsam, so
We're speculating.
these like manager-related discussions, end up with I guess we are making some progress, but it would have been nice to have everyone involved present.
Nothing more to add.
All right, it looks like Laura dropped, and we're out of topics. So if there's nothing else, no last minute notes, then I would call to adjourn.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks all.
Thank you. Bye.